How are we, boys and girls? Welcome to the Going Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Braam Hein, cruising koala on all social media platforms. And here we will be deep diving on all things health and wellness related. How are you, by the way? You doing good? I hope you're doing good. Episode 12. We're rolling. Fuck. Ooh, sorry. I don't know where that came from. We're going. We are going. I'm actually filming this the day after I just filmed the previous podcast, episode 11, because I filmed it and posted it same day, Wednesday. Like, yeah, and I was like, I need to stop doing that because I had done it also previously in the past few weeks as well, and I just need to stop doing that because I was just getting too stressed about it. So, since I have some time today, I'm going to film the next episode. And also, I want to talk about Invincible is a absolutely outstanding show. I don't care what anybody says, like, the animation sucks. Shut up. The story's great. And Mark, my goat, low-key, even though it kind of sucks. Because he just keeps getting the absolute dog piss beaten out of him. But him and Atom Eve, goats. Absolute goats. Alan, my dog, voiced by Seth Rogen, which is hilarious because he's this massive jacked alien that can't die, really. Awesome guy. But today, this episode is kind of about the opposite of what last episode was about. And this is about counting calories, why it's good, why I personally do it, why I've done it for years, why I personally recommend it, how it can be bad, how to do it, and how to kind of structure it. So, like I've talked about previously, and I will continue to harp on, and I will not back down, and I will not take any other answer about this topic. You cannot change the law of thermodynamics. That is the only possible way that energy is used and or transferred somewhere else. And that's how people lose weight, is the law of thermodynamics, by using more calories than they're expending. Calorie expenditure and calorie intake are the only two important things when it comes to weight, fat, muscle loss, whatever it is. Those are the only things that can affect it. Nothing else can affect it. No juice cleanse, no HIIT workouts. I mean, because HIIT workouts just burn calories. That's all it is. They don't really burn more calories than anything else. They're not metabolism boosters, nothing like that. Your metabolism doesn't change to an extent. I can talk about that in another episode, but that's the premise of it. And why counting calories is so good is because you can find the exact numbers that you need for your body type personally to hit certain goals or to maintain or to structure performance fueling, right? That's why counting calories is so good in my opinion, because it's a foolproof way of getting results. It's the only possible way. Oh, sorry. Rephrasing that. It's the best possible way to guarantee certainty of results, because you will know how to adjust things if scale isn't changing, if all that kind of stuff, if you aren't feeling good, if you aren't hitting certain macronutrients. You can adjust what you're eating specifically to change it to fit your needs personally. Now, there is a pretty bad side to it, in my opinion, is that people can get extremely obsessed with counting calories. I think I just broke this on my pen. Sorry. This is a cool pen, though. Army National Guard from Ohio. Of course. Anyway, what was my bad side of it? Yeah, I feel like, especially, I mean, I've definitely fallen into this trap. I fell into this trap for a very long time about the bad side of counting calories. Like, if I don't track something, then it's the end of the world. If I go off plan, then it's the end of the world, and then it just spirals, and I feel bad about the rest of the day, and then my day's ruined. The day's calories ruined, so then I binge or whatever. And you fall into a thing of, I can't go out because I don't know the exact calories of these things, and I don't know if they're using oils to cook in it or butter or whatever. There's extra calories, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff. I had to learn the hard way because I didn't know it, and I'm telling you this now, so you don't have to go through what I did. First of all, if people invite you out to go to dinners and stuff, go to the dinners and eat food. Don't worry about tracking the exact calories. In the grand scheme of things, it's not the end of the world because it's just one meal. It's just, even if you just choose healthier options and you understand calories to an extent, you will be able to assess how much you're actually kind of eating. And by now, I can kind of eyeball a meal and guesstimate the calories pretty dead on, in my opinion, which is a superpower in my opinion, but in other people's opinions, it can be obsessive. But regardless, I'm goated. Sorry. Yeah, it can get very bad, but as long as you control it and you can understand, like I do now, that it is okay to adjust things in certain ways or just eat the damn freaking burger. You know what I mean? Just do that and it's okay and it's not the end of the world. That's how you kind of can counteract the bad side of it. And just don't get too obsessed with counting calories unless you're like a bodybuilder paying for a show, or you really just want to dial in and just kind of focus on this stuff. Then that's also completely fine. You can do that, but don't get too obsessed with it. That's also what I want to preface all of this with. Yeah. So I'll explain how to determine your calorie goal and macros and stuff in a little bit, but I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions about how to actually do it. I feel like a lot of people overcomplicate it, or when they're doing it, they're not doing it right, in my opinion, because they don't realize that they're not doing it right, and they're just making it a lot more difficult for themselves. So here are some tips for how to do it properly and how to do it easily and how to do it without making it take over your life, okay? So first thing is you need a food scale. You need to get a food scale. It doesn't have to be high quality. You can get one for like $10, maybe $7. Probably find one on Amazon for like $5. In reality, it doesn't matter what kind of scale you get, because even if it's off by, because most of them will be very, very accurate. That's like, it's hard to not make an accurate scale. Even if they're off by a few grams or a few milliliters or whatever it is, as long as you use the same scale for everything, that's consistency. If that makes sense? Because you'll consistently be eating the few extra grams or a few extra milligrams or a few less milligrams, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying that you're gonna buy a shit scale. Most scales are gonna be perfectly fine, right? But just use the same scale for everything so it's consistent. Because if you weigh things with different scales, it's just gonna all get mumble jumbled, and then you get different readings sometimes, and then it's gonna be weird, right? As long as you choose the same scale for everything, or the same scale whenever you're measuring something, and you can, if you really want to use different scales for some reason, just use different scales with the same items on them. But that's stupid either way. Anyway, another thing is just always measuring what you're gonna put in. Like, don't eyeball things unless you're really experienced with it. Like I am now, I think. Like I'm like 5 years into doing this kind of stuff. Like I can kind of eyeball how much something is, because if measuring with the scale is the most important, because measuring cups, serving sizes of like 2 slices of bread, if you actually measure it out on a scale, it's probably very, very off. But I've seen things that are off by even like scoops of protein, like the scooper of the protein powder. I don't use that. I like weigh it out with a scale, because the scoop of protein, which is meant to be like 38.7 grams or however 32 grams, whatever, however much it actually is, if you use a scooper, it's probably closer to 40. I've sometimes even like, I'm like, I'm just curious. I want to see how much it is, and then I like scoop it, level it out, and I pour it, and it's been like 50 grams, which is nearly like half a serving more. Which is why people don't realize that they're overeating things, which is why calorie counting and weighing things is good. because you don't realize how much you're overeating until you actually measure what you're eating, right? So with that though, I do think there's some leniency to like things like fruit and vegetables. Like if you kind of eyeball vegetables, it's not going to be the end of the world. Like I don't know, you ate 50 more grams of onion. It's like 3 calories, brother. It's not. Don't worry about that stuff unless you're a bodybuilder. Then worry about it because you need to. And also things like, for me personally, I don't weigh out fruit. I just measure it as one piece of like if I eat a banana, I'm just gonna measure it as a medium banana. If I eat an orange, the same thing, regardless of the size, because they're only gonna be off by, unless I get like a ginormous friggin' orange, it's not gonna be that drastically different in size, and it's also going to be consistently pretty similar in terms of calories and content of it. So like a regular medium orange is like 80 calories, and if I just measure it out, if I have to measure out exactly how much of an orange I'm eating, I feel like it's a bit too far. I'm just gonna eat an orange and just say it's a regular orange and weigh it out as 80 calories. If it's 90 calories, oh no, I ate 10 calories more worth of a very nutritious item. Like it's okay, it's fine. Don't worry about it, right? Sorry, I get very passionate about stuff. But so when you're weighing out things, I would use the same measurements for each thing. So if you're doing potatoes, if you're measuring potatoes, don't do potatoes. No, that's bad. If you're measuring potatoes, measure them, whether you measure them cooked, whether you measure them raw, whether you measure them in grams, whether you measure them in ounces, whether you measure them for fucking liters, for like always keep it consistent. So if the first time you do it raw, grams, whatever. Do that every time and then cook them. Because if you start getting into the habit of one time you do it raw and you weigh it in grams, then you're like, okay, this is 200 grams worth of raw potatoes. And then you cook it, because obviously when you cook it, it either absorbs more water or like shrinks a little bit, depending on whatever you do. If you then do it cooked and measure it out, it's going to be a completely different measurement. Like steak, if you have, or whatever kind of meat, when you cook it, you cook the water out of it and cook all that stuff, so then its weight drops. So then if you say you have 200 grams chicken breast raw and you cook it, in reality when you cook it, it's probably gonna be like 140, 150 grams. So if you go the next time, you're like, oh, I'm gonna have 200 grams of chicken breast, but then you do 200 grams of cooked chicken breast. In reality, that's probably closer to like 275, 300 grams of raw chicken breast. So you're eating a lot more than you previously did, but you're thinking that you ate way less. So to keeping the same measurements consistent within the same items. You can change, you can mix and match whatever. You can do cooked chicken, raw vegetables. You can do cooked fruit and raw meat, whatever. Just keep it consistent, right? Same thing with like, especially with fruit, if you do like dried versus just regular, like a regular banana, like 100 grams of regular banana, 100 grams of dried banana are two completely different things. I urge you, if you've never seen the calories of dried fruit, it's pretty remarkable how much dried fruit you can eat for a small amount, for the same amount, like for an insane amount of calories. It's pretty crazy. And also, the final tip, when you're inevitably probably going to be meal prepping because you're on this calorie counting journey, you're probably going to at least do some meal prepping or meal dividing. How I personally find it better is just cooking large amounts of, like if I'm cooking the protein, I'm cooking like a pound of beef, and I personally divide that into 2 meals. So I don't count the pound. I don't like measure the pound of it. I just put it into 2 different meals in MyFitnessPal. I would also use a calorie counting app There's things like MacroFactor. There's MyFitnessPal, which is the most generic one. There's other smaller brands, but MacroFactor is probably the best one, but you have to pay for it. I don't pay for it personally because it's just you're just counting food, bro. It's not that's it. It's not that deep. I will one day hopefully be able to have the expendable money to do that, but I'm not doing that. Yeah, MyFitnessPal is the most generic one. It has the biggest database. It's the most consistent, but you can't scan food anymore, which kind of sucks. And there's other ones. So use that. I forgot to mention that. Sorry. Do that. But so how I do it is I just chuck in the whole pound because it's 1 pound of beef. So I don't have to worry about weighing that out. I just because it's in the container, it's what it says. It's what it is. Might be off slightly on our chuck it in, cook it, and then when I'm portioning it out, I measure it out. In me personally, I'd measure out in grams just because like you can zero out the scale. It's zero. Put a ball pull a ball on top first, then zero it, so it's zero. Chuck it in. It'll say whatever number it is. Say it's 350. So then you can safely say that 175 grams of cooked beef is 8 ounces because it's half of the cooked weighed meat would be the same as half of the raw meat in terms of calorie value. So then that's how I divide it up. You can do it in 4s, you can do it in 6s, you can do it in 10s, whatever. It depends on how much you're cooking. I just personally cook in pounds because I don't meal prep a lot. But whenever I do meal prep, I do that kind of similar. I cook dinner and then I just eat the rest for lunch the next day. Anyway, those are my kind of tips for how to count them easily, effectively, and make sure that you're doing it correctly and in the best way possible without messing up. And it's not, if you really think about it, that's not a lot to do. You're just literally putting a food scale down and putting the food on top. It takes an extra 10 seconds, maybe. Whatever. Sorry, tangent. But, so when you're counting calories, I used to be getting the thing of like if it fits your macros or I'm just trying to get a calorie goal. That's better than nothing, but it's better than most people, honestly. But you really need to focus in on macros, what you want to hit macro wise. The first thing you have to do though is determine your calorie goal. So you have to find out your maintenance. So you can do that by searching up a TDE calculator, which is a total daily energy expenditure, BMR calculator, or something like that. And it's going to give you your daily calorie goal that you should need. BMR calculators give you a daily calorie goal that you need to just survive. So it's probably going to be around 1900 to 2100 calories, depending on your size, gender, height, weight, whatever. And then you can also add in your activity level. So if you work out a lot or you have a very active job, or the opposite, if you're very sedentary, then it's going to fluctuate how many calories you'll probably burn on a day-to-day basis. So for me personally, I usually burn around 3,000 calories a day because I'm a decently sized human being. I work out a lot. I get a lot of steps in a day. So I get roughly 15,000 steps in a day since I've been to Michigan. So that's your maintenance. So then most people, their calorie goal should be a slight deficit or depending on how quickly you want to lose weight, a large deficit. So I recommend a 200 to 500 calorie deficit if you're trying to lose weight. 200 if you want to do it a lot slower, keep a lot more muscle. 500 if you want to still keep muscle but do it a little bit quicker. Some people do 1,000 calorie deficits because that's what you're losing. Like that's when people say, okay, so there's 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. Rough estimation, right? So if you are in a 500 calorie deficit 7 days a week, that is 3,500 calories. You lose a pound of fat usually, or a pound of weight. Then so people do 1,000 calories, so then they double it and do 2 pounds a week. That's the max you want to do. You don't really want to do anything else unless you're very experienced with this kind of stuff and you are very controlled and know exactly how your micronutrient, macronutrient intakes. But I would highly advise just to do 200 to 500. Obviously, if you want to maintain your weight and kind of do like a body recomp or just maintain your weight, just eat at your maintenance calories. You can kind of fluctuate above and below it to your discretion, really. Also, with the deficit, some days if you go over, that's completely fine. Don't freak out. I do that all the time. Just like I freak out if I go a little bit over my calories, it's okay. But if you might just need to adjust the calories the next day a little bit, like maybe go down a little bit, or if you're just playing the long game, just go back to your regular calories and it's fine. If you're trying to gain weight, trying to gain muscle, you should probably be in a 200 to 500 calorie surplus. Roughly, I feel like I've sounded super professional. Just, I need to calm down. I kind of went into like a zone there. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. I feel like I don't know, that just felt weird to me for a little bit. Anyway, if you're trying to bulk or trying to gain weight, maybe like a 200 to 500 calorie surplus, sorry. Or yeah, like you don't want to go too heavy on surplus because then it's more, the heavier you are in a surplus, the more energy that's going to get transferred into fat. I'm sorry if I'm playing with my pen too. What is going on? Why am I tweaking out right now? Sorry. Yeah, so especially with bulking and gaining weight, you want to do that slow, a lot slower. So slight surpluses to just make sure you're building muscle, make sure you have plenty of energy and all that kind of stuff. And those are really the only things that you need to worry about when you're determining a calorie goal. But also with your weight, tracking weight and calories at the same time is a good way to know if you are on the right track. So if you're trying to lose weight and the scale is going down pretty consistently every day, you're probably eating too little. So you probably need to eat a little bit more, and you want to lose roughly a pound, maximum again 2 pounds a week. And then gaining weight, you want to gain probably maybe half a pound, maximum a pound a week, because otherwise, if it's over that, it's probably a lot of fat, roughly. But yeah, so just make sure you're tracking calories, and then make sure you're in the right direction towards your goal. You're progressing either upwards or downwards, depending on what your goal is. And then obviously, if you just move more, if you're starting to move more, you're starting to realize if you're trying to gain weight and you're moving a lot more, and then you're actually maintaining weight a little bit, or you're losing weight, up calories a little bit. Opposite happens if you're trying to lose weight and you're moving a lot less, and you're still eating more calories, and you're either maintaining or maybe even getting a little bit of weight. Just drop the calories. You're fine. So that's why calorie counting is really good, because you can adjust accordingly to whatever's happening on the scale, right? So macronutrient breakdown. So within your calorie goal, you have your macronutrients. You have your micronutrients. Your micronutrients are important. I'm not going to cover those because that's a lot. Like if you're in this stage and you're trying to learn how to count calories, don't worry about micronutrients right now. Just worry about macronutrients. And if you worry about focusing on whole foods and foods that are nutritious, you're going to hit a lot of micronutrients. Sorry. And if you're supplementing with a multivitamin and fish oils and all that jazz, you'll also be okay. So that's also something that I would advise. Just in general, is just everyone should probably take a multivitamin, creatine, and a fish oil. Those are the three big ones. Probably magnesium as well. A lot of people are deficient in magnesium, so magnesium also good. So the three big macronutrients, like we've talked about previously, we've covered two of them so far. Two of them, I think. Have we covered all three? I think we've only covered two. I think we've only covered proteins and carbohydrates. But the three pillars of nutrition, macronutrient wise, are protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Proteins help you build muscle, maintain muscle, and recover from exercise, and are building blocks for literally most things in your body. Carbohydrates fuel performance, help micronutrient dispersal and absorption, and just a lot of fuel for the body. And fats maintain hormone regulation, also another fuel source for the body, and are essential for just overall health. So those are the three things you really need to focus on. How you're going to break those down is for protein, at least, I'm going to do this in pounds because it's easier. Just because if you do pounds to grams, it's literally 1-to-1, right? So if you do protein, For your protein, God, get it together. For your protein, at least 0.6 grams per pound of body weight. Up to 1 is ideal. And then above 1, I think, is a little overkill in my opinion. But you can also go over 1. It's completely fine. So, in an example, if you're a 200-pound male, just to make it easy, 0.6 would be 120. There you go. Good answer. You're a smart guy. Or girl. I don't know. So, 120 grams, at least on minimum a day, at least, I would say, because that's been shown to help maintain muscle and help groups maintain muscle and help groups maintain muscle, or I said maintain muscle again. Help groups build muscle if they're in a surplus, or maintain a low muscle if they're in a deficit. The more protein you eat, the more there are more benefits to it, gains wise, muscle retention wise, and muscle building wise, muscle recovery. Jesus Christ, I've been hanging out with my girlfriend too much. She always does that, like the that kind of stuff. Sorry. Regardless, moving on. So that's what you should be aiming for protein. There are going to be some days where you'll be closest to maybe the 0.6, and there'll be a lot of days where if you're really tracking, really focusing on protein, you'll be easily close to 1. So just get your body weight, whatever it is, in pounds. If it's in kilos, it's just 2.2, like it's 1.4, I think, or 1.8 to 2.2, or is it? Yeah, something like that, 1.4 to like 2.2 per kg of body weight. So do the same thing for that. And then, arguably, I would say the one thing that I think people neglect the most is the fat intake. Because I know people think if you eat fat, you get fat. First of all, so fucking stupid. Wrong. Incorrect. Second of all, fat's high in, like, per gram of fat's 9 calories, right? So it's very hard. Why did I say that? It's very hard to look at a high fatty thing and want to eat that if you're in a caloric deficit, because you're like, that's a lot of calories for a little thing that might not fill me up. It will fill you up because it's fatty, right? Fatty acids are very, I'm sorry, it's late at night. That's why I'm kind of all over the shop. Fatty acids are very filling because they're slow digesting, and they're for hormone regulation, and they're energy source as well. So you use them. First of all, you don't just store them immediately as fat. It's just wrong. But a lot of people neglect it because each gram of fat is very high in calorie compared to the other 2 macronutrients. So people focus on protein and carbs and then neglect their fats and have really, really, really low fats, which then makes them feel like shit and makes them, all their hormones crash or their body crash, whatever. So at minimum, 20% of your daily calories should be from carbohydrates. Kidding, fats. So if you're eating, for argument's sake, 2,000 calories, 20% of those calories, which is 400 calories, should come from fat. Okay? So what's that? Hello? Am I tripping? What? I'm times 4 is 36. So like, my God. It's like 40 grams of fat, basically. I didn't calculate. I'm usually smart at that stuff. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. But I would also argue that 20% is very low. So that's obviously a minimum. You need to get at least that. I would probably aim for like 30% at least of fat, just to make sure you're hitting the minimum, and a little more so you make sure everything's healthy, everything's maintained, everything's good. You have a lot of prolonged energy throughout the day, and you're going to keep your body healthy. That's the main thing. That's what we're going to do. And then whatever's left, if you're having a higher protein diet and a minimum of a fat diet, then whatever's left should go to carbs, in my opinion, because you need to feel for your workouts, for performance, and also carbs is tasty. Carbs are good. Carbs are also probably nutritious if you pick the right ones, like potatoes, fruits and veg, all that kind of stuff. So if you do that, you should have a pretty good ratio. So around about 20 to 30% from fat, depending on how much protein you're eating, 25 to 40% of calories from protein, rest carbs. So that's how you should divide it up if you're trying to count calories and trying to do it well, trying to do it while prioritizing protein and health. That's how you should do that. I'm sorry for if it's a little all over the shop. I'm getting to the point where I'm getting a little tired. Not angry, just a little tired. I also filmed the video before this. Go check it out, Creatine Koala. Be posting that tomorrow for me, but like 4 days ago for you. No, like 5 days ago for you probably. But yeah, hopefully you're doing fantastic. Hopefully you and the family are doing fantastic. You and the kids, love you. Even if you don't have kids, you and your future kids, because you're gonna have kids in the future, because you're a lovely person, and someone's gonna love you, and someone's gonna have babies with you. I said that. I have to live with that. I do. Anyway, gonna move on from that. But yeah, for me personally, my life's been good. If you wanted to check in on me, life's been good. Yeah, it's just I'm doing this now to try to get ahead a little bit. And I realize now I probably should have just done it tomorrow when I was less tired. But I didn't, and I started filming. That's what I'm gonna do. Stop. I've already filmed like I don't have time. Don't ask me how long it's been. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I am actually exercise scientist. Bitch. Sorry, that was mean. I didn't even call you that. I didn't call you that. I called the guy behind you. Don't worry about him. He sucks anyway. We don't like him. Sorry, it's been a little bit long busy day. Done a bunch of stuff. What did I do today? I had a class that I hate. Bioinformatics. Oh my god. Coding? Nope. Not my forte. And am I good at it? Nope. Do I know what's going on? Nope. Do any of my friends know what's going on? Kind of. They're really smart. I'm not. So, but I got this though. So, big arms beat everyone in the competition. Even though I don't really have big arms, I got some arms. But anyway, it's just a joke. I'm kidding. Calm down. That's the one thing everyone wants to hear when they're angry, is someone tell them to calm down. That's what I've learned over the years. Don't listen to that advice. Listen to all my other advice, not that advice, because that was a joke. But regardless, I'm doing fantastic. I love you. And I'll see you next week.